Sometimes relationships don't break because people are bad. They break because people stop growing. They stop listening. They stop understanding. And when growth stops, connection then dies. But hear me today, what God brings into your life, He expects you to build, not abandon. If your relationships are cracked, God can still rebuild them. If your heart is tired, God can still revive it. Revive it. If you feel alone, God can still reconnect you with what was meant for you. Today, we are not talking about going back to the past. We are talking about rising into a better future, stronger connections, and deeper love. Today, we rebuild. Every relationship in your life, family, friends, marriage, work, is a reflection of your inner growth. When you grow, your relationships grow. When you break, your relationships feel the cracks. Life is not about perfect people. It's about people who are willing to evolve, people who choose healing over ego, understanding over anger, and growth over comfort. We are not meant to walk alone. God designed us to build, support, uplift, and connect. Connections require work. They require patience. They require the courage to change. Today, I want to take you on a journey back to yourself, so you can reconnect with the people around you. Because rebuilding relationships doesn't start with them, it starts with you. Let's grow and let's rebuild. Growth begins with the moment you look in the mirror and finally tell yourself the truth. Not the truth that makes you comfortable, but the truth that makes you better. The truth that shakes you, the truth that frees you. Because before any relationship can be rebuilt, before any bond can be restored, there has to be a shift within you. And that shift starts with self-awareness. Most people think relationships break because the other person changed. But many times they break because we stop noticing our own patterns, our attitudes, our silence, our reactions, our wounds, and our habits. We build walls without realizing it. We shut down without explaining it. We expect without communicating it. And then we blame the distance without understanding that sometimes the distance began inside us. Self-awareness is not always comfortable. In fact, it's rarely comfortable. It's like turning on the lights in a room you've kept dark for years. You start seeing what you've ignored, what you've postponed, and what you've allowed to grow. You realize that maybe you didn't listen as much as you thought. Maybe you allowed anger to speak louder than your intentions. Maybe you reacted too quickly, or you held on to things too long. Growth begins when you stop pointing outward and start looking inward. Think about a simple moment from daily life. Imagine someone comes home tired from work, carrying the weight of their day, the pressure, the deadlines, the stress. Their partner or family member asks a simple question, nothing serious, nothing harmful. But because the person is already carrying frustration, they snap. Not because of the question, but because of what they brought inside the home with them. And suddenly, a small moment becomes a big argument. The problem isn't the relationship. The problem is unrecognized emotion, unprocessed stress, and unmanaged reactions. When you are not aware of yourself, you unintentionally hurt the people you love the most. Or think of times when someone feels ignored or disrespected, but instead of expressing it, they stay silent. The silence builds distance. The distance builds misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding becomes conflict. But it all began with the lack of awareness of their own emotional needs and communication patterns. When you don't understand yourself, you can't expect others to understand you. Self-awareness means learning to pause before reacting. It means saying, "Why am I angry?" before you lash out. It means asking, "What am I afraid of?" Before you push someone away. It means admitting, "I need to do better, not for them, but for you." Because when you grow, everything connected to you grows. When you heal, everything around you feels safer. When you become clearer, relationships become stronger. Sometimes we expect others to give us what we haven't learned to give ourselves. We want respect, but we don't respect our own time, emotions, or boundaries. We want understanding, but we don't take the time to understand our own triggers and patterns. We want peace, but we don't create peace inside us. We want love, but we don't love ourselves through our flaws, mistakes, and insecurities. You cannot build a healthy relationship on a foundation that is shaking inside you. Growth also means looking at your past without letting it control your present. Many people carry old wounds into new conversations. Maybe your past taught you to expect disappointment. Maybe life taught you to defend yourself too quickly. Maybe experiences taught you not to trust easily. But self-awareness helps you see the difference between past hurt and present reality. It helps you understand that not everyone is trying to hurt you. Not every disagreement is a threat. Not every mistake is betrayal. When you don't understand the roots of your emotions, you misinterpret the actions of others. Imagine someone who grew up never being listened to. In adulthood, even a small interruption may feel like disrespect. But the problem is not the interruption. It's the unhealed past speaking through the present. When they recognize this, when they say, "This reaction is coming from somewhere deeper inside me," transformation starts. They realize the relationship is not the enemy. The unhealed part of themselves is asking for attention. Growth means being humble enough to say, "I can improve." It means not defending your flaws, but refining them. It means not hiding your weaknesses, but working on them. It means becoming someone who brings clarity, not confusion, peace, not chaos, understanding, not tension. When you grow in awareness, your energy changes. Your presence becomes softer. Your communication becomes clearer. Your reactions become wiser. And the people around you feel the shift. Relationships flourish when the individuals inside them choose to evolve. When you grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, you give those around you the permission and the space to grow as well. Self-awareness is not about blaming yourself. It's about discovering yourself. It's about understanding your needs, your values, your fears, your dreams, and your patterns. It's about knowing who you truly are so you can connect with others from a place of truth. And the beautiful thing is this: once you start becoming aware of yourself, you become aware of others. You start seeing their pain behind their anger. You notice their effort instead of their mistakes. You recognize their love instead of their flaws. Because growth expands your vision. It opens your heart. It deepens your understanding. And that is how relationships are rebuilt, not from perfection, but from awareness. Communication is the bridge between hearts, the pathway through which understanding flows, and the tool that turns confusion into clarity. Most relationships don't fall apart because of a lack of love. Love is often present, even strong. What's missing is the language of connection. What breaks relationships is not the absence of feelings, but the absence of expression. People walk around with heavy thoughts, unspoken worries, hidden disappointments, unshared dreams, and unexpressed love. And when communication dries up, misunderstandings grow like weeds in a garden that was once blooming. Think about how many times people argue about something small, but the real issue is something deeper they never talked about. Someone asks a simple question like, "Are you okay?" And the other person replies, "I'm fine," even though they're hurting inside. Someone feels unappreciated but stays silent, hoping the other person will magically understand. Someone feels ignored but never says, "I miss your attention." Silent expectations become silent frustrations. And silent frustrations become loud problems. Communication is not just about talking. It is about being honest, being present, and being willing to understand. It is about sharing what you feel before the feeling turns into resentment. It is about expressing your needs without blaming, your emotions without attacking, and your concerns without shutting down. Many people communicate only when they're angry, but true communication is when you speak from clarity, not chaos. Imagine a couple sitting at the dinner table. The day has been long. One person is distracted, scrolling through their phone. The other is quiet, wanting to talk but unsure how to begin. They both love each other, but the connection feels dim. If one of them simply said, "I missed you today," the whole atmosphere would change. A calm sentence has the power to melt walls that anger alone can't break. But pride keeps lips closed. Fear keeps hearts guarded, and silence keeps relationships stuck. Think about friendships too. Sometimes a friend makes a mistake or says something hurtful, but instead of talking about it, the other friend pulls away. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and what could have been solved with one honest conversation becomes a broken bond. Communication is the medicine that heals misunderstandings before they turn into distance. Many people think communication means talking more, but it also means listening more. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. Listening is silent respect. Listening is the willingness to understand the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree. Listening is saying with your heart, Your feelings matter to me. When someone feels heard, they naturally soften, they naturally open, they naturally trust. In daily life, we often talk to reply, not to understand. Someone says, "That hurt me," and instead of listening, the other person becomes defensive. "But I didn't mean it like that." And just like that, the moment becomes a fight instead of an opportunity for closeness. But when communication is handled with calmness, conversations become bridges instead of battles. Imagine a parent and child. The child comes home upset, slams the door, and isolates themselves. Many parents immediately scold, not realizing the child doesn't